Looks like we are live over there. Excellent. Okay, so if you are in Facebook, welcome to the call right now. What we'll try to do, if you don't mind, try to hop on to the Zoom call and ask the questions over there using the Q&A box, not chat. It's so much easier and efficient because we can track which questions have been answered, which haven't. We'll still try to get the Facebook ones. It's just usually we get to them at the end and everything. But hey, welcome everyone to this week's live coaching call, all about products and branding and suppliers, anything as far as getting your product ready to go before you launch. And we can always cover a few other things as well. Mike McClary, my compadre, Devin DeRoche is with us. Hey, Devin.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
And while we're getting going here, if you have questions, I see we already got several in there. Be sure to start popping them in there. All right, we already got several over there. Excellent. I see Alicia, Louisa, Patrick McCary, very, very close. Maybe we were distant relatives sometime, but lost an L. Janet, Kathleen, Stacy, Debbie, Alicia, Lena, lots and lots of people. We are full today. Okay, so this week, it is purely going to be a Q&A call. There's nothing really fancy we have. I do think, Devin, you may have released some new training this week.
Yeah, so in the branding section, I uploaded 2 new videos. One that's about like documenting your journey. So basically just creating content from the process of building your brand and picking your logos and analyzing your samples, like all those types of things that you're going to be doing anyway is a great opportunity to create some content. So I created a video on that, and then a video just talking about like getting socials and which socials you should set up and just some of the best practices for your social media. So
awesome. Yeah, so definitely go check that all out. That is in part 1, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's part 1, section 3, basically the like creating your brand section.
Okay, awesome. And I see the amazing Tina is with us as well. Hey, Tina, welcome to the call. Okay, I'll tell you what, if we want to, Devin, let's kind of get right into the questions. We can just kind of, you read one, I'll read one, whatever. We will just get going.
Yeah. And wasn't there's a couple of wins too. We wanted.
Oh yeah, you want to cover those wins? We had a couple of really cool wins.
And if you guys have any additional wins that you haven't submitted, go ahead and drop those in the chat so we can give you a shout out on those too. But so one big win was from Steve Mount, and he was basically talking about that he created a Facebook campaign and got it running live and is getting some sales and that it's running profitably. So that was awesome. Steve was, I think, one of our ASM members too, and basically joined the program to get his product selling off of Amazon, and has had success with the things that we've been teaching. So that was awesome to see. And then we also have Jean Michael, and he was saying that after contacting over 30 suppliers, that they were actually able to get 2 samples ordered from 2 suppliers, and that they're working on their branding and they're super excited. So that is awesome. Love to see people taking action. And as always, if you guys have any other wins that you want to share, definitely let us know. And we always like to celebrate those and basically give a shout out for action takers. So
cool. Good job, Steve and John Michael, John Michelle. Can't quite remember which way we pronounce that, but awesome job, guys. Okay, so into the questions. And the first one is from the mysterious anonymous attendee. Ooh. Asking, hello, do we pay for the shipping box as well, or just the product box? Well, in the end, you kind of pay for it all, right? So the product box you'll pay for that from your supplier if you have a packaging that you're putting your product in, which you most likely are. So you pay for that, and your end product will be most likely in a box, unless it comes in something else like a bag, but most people put in boxes. As far as the shipping box, then whoever is doing the fulfilling will have to have those shipping boxes for you. So for example, if you're using Amazon FBA, they provide the shipping boxes and they just charge you a flat FBA fee, whatever it is. Same thing for Deliverr as well. Same thing for Shopify fulfillment. Your fulfillment company will actually provide the shipping box, and that cost is rolled in to their costs to you. So don't go out there and buy a whole bunch unless you're shipping them out of your house. But your fulfillment company will charge you for that, and it's rolled into one fee. And that's how Deliverr does it, right, Devin?
Yep. Yeah, and I think I can't remember if it was them. I talked to somebody recently where they were going to start allowing you to send custom boxes and stuff, but again, that's a pretty large expense and probably not one I would recommend, unless you're doing your own fulfillment and you just want to like have like, that wow customer experience. But to me, it's actually really hard to deliver on that with a third party fulfillment company because, they're most likely not going to do like, custom inserts or custom whatever, right? Like it's kind of too much of a hassle for them to implement that for every single customer. So again, yeah, I would just use what they offer.
Sweet. I'll take the next one from Anonymous as well. And then you want to take Brandon after this one?
Yeah.
Devin? Anonymous attendee. By the way, that's not really their name. Just Zoom gives you the ability to log in and not put in a name. Is asking, is there a warehouse in particular where a product has to be delivered to? So if you're just in the process of getting quotes and estimates from your supplier, what I recommend is just picking any warehouse in California. For now, at least. I mean, that's not perfect, but if they're asking you, where are we delivering this to? Won't be ready to, ship out for another month and deliver for another month, but just pick a warehouse in California. In the training, when I go through that part of it, you'll actually see that I suggest like one of the Amazon FBA warehouses there. Not that you're gonna have it delivered there, but that just gives them an address, and it doesn't really matter which one in California, just to get a quote. Once you choose your fulfillment company, then they will tell you which location to actually send your products to. So if you go with like Devin recommends Deliver, that's who he's using. You can also use Shopify Fulfillment Network. You can use Amazon's Fulfillment Network, but they'll tell you where to ship your products to at the end. So Devin, how does it work with Deliver right now?
So it's very similar to Amazon. So we'll create a shipping plan and they'll basically either say, ship this many cartons to, one of like basically 4 different warehouses usually, so that you get coverage, East Coast, West Coast, Central. Or they actually also have an option where it's like ship everything to this one location and we will route it to the other locations for you. And I think that one generally gives you lower shipping costs, but it takes longer. So it really just kind of depends on, what your needs are.
Very cool.
All right. Well, so let's see. Our next question is from Brandon Becker. What are the typical steps to go from brand logo to brand label? Are those typically 2 different graphic designers you need to find and work with? 99 Designs or Fiverr. So let's see here. If you're talking about brand, like when you say brand label, I'm assuming you mean like your packaging. But basically what we recommend is working with a designer on say 99 Designs and getting your brand logo created, and then you'll ultimately do another project on 99 Designs where you'll have people kind of bid on the packaging, and I think on that process you can actually submit the logo that you have, and then basically give them kind of the palette or the template of things that you want included around that logo.
And then usually what the suppliers will do is they'll give you a template. So for example, we're launching another battery type of product, different size. And so before we can actually have them finish manufacturing, we had to get a template because it's a different size box. Then you give it to your designer, they have a template, they do what you want, and then you send that design back to your manufacturer doing the printing.
Oh yeah. All right, and our next question also from Brandon is, I'm developing a skincare line. I have the formula 80% where I want it. The other 20% to perfect it may take an extra 2 months. Should 80% be good enough for now for speed to market? So I think that really depends. I kind of went through this when I was, trying to work with a buddy on a men's skincare line. Basically we started off with a face wash, and we're trying to iterate on it. And I think for us, we were really getting hung up on like we wanted the scent to be right, we wanted the viscosity of it to be just right, and that back and forth process definitely took a really long time. So I think it really depends on what, the 20% that you feel like is missing, what exactly that is. And do you feel like it's crucial to the customer experience? So if the 80% you think is enough that people will be like, hey, I like this, then I would just go with that so that you can get things moving faster. Because honestly, especially with the direct response portion of this business model, iterating on your creatives and your landing page and things like that, that can take a lot of time. So you can be trying to figure that out alongside kind of iterating on, you know, the remaining 20% for your second batch, but at least it gives you the ability to get testing and, you know, moving faster.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better way to answer that one either, Devin. Question from Paulo. Hey guys, any thoughts on stationery products like diaries, journals, and notebooks? Our research shows it's viable on Amazon, but I'm not sure about setting up a Shopify store for it. Is the stationery category more of a retail store or an Amazon product? I mean, without doing the research, my gut tells me stationery would be a hard product to make work with DTC, Paulo, only because how many people are looking for stationery are going to be willing to spend up to $50 or more per order, because that's really what you need to get when you're advertising for it. So I think it would be a difficult type of product to do DTC.
Yeah, I think, and that's kind of that fits a lot of different products where, you know, maybe they're kind of commoditized, and it becomes hard to do like interruption marketing for something that's kind of like an everyday use, right? So like, you know, paper towels or toilet paper, right? Like everybody buys it, they sell a ton of it. It might be hard to come up with something so unique or differentiated that it like gets people to stop what they're doing on Facebook or somewhere to be like, oh, I have to go check this out right now. You know, and so that's where it's kind of like keyword based stuff on Amazon or, you know, seeing it in a retail store works, and there's tons of volume for that. But it's not the same as like interrupting somebody when they're watching cat videos to get them to be like, oh, I need to check this out right now.
Excellent. You want to take the VAT question?
Sure. So Paulo asks, any experience in dealing with Italy VAT? It's more complicated than UK or DE, for example. So I have no idea when it comes to Italy VAT. You know, we do VAT in the UK, and you know, when we were selling on Amazon, we even took the approach of like only doing UK and kind of you know, allowing the shipping into other countries from the UK, but not actually housing any inventory anywhere else because I didn't want to deal with other more complicated places.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a theme here that it seems like there are questions that come up a lot, and don't get me wrong, like I have these questions too, guys, when it comes to like taxes and when it comes to business setup, especially when we're crossing borders. If you're living in one country, selling in another country, those are very, very complicated situations, and we're not trying to slough you off, and that's a real word I use. It's just that we don't have the answers. I do have, I do have a question still out to our Shopify contact about people who want to sell in the US on Shopify and don't live in the US. They have not gotten back yet. I followed up again today. My thought is that they don't have a real hard, solid answer. It's going to be, it depends. And that's why they haven't gotten back to us yet, because everything that I've researched, there's nothing on Shopify. If you do Googling, like I want to sell on Shopify in the US from another country, you will not find an answer. And there's lots of people asking it. So we're trying to figure that out for you. And the reason I mentioned this, because the VAT issue is another item. I think what we'd like to get to, Paulo and everyone else at some point, is a group of people that we can go to, probably like tax attorneys, business attorneys, international business attorneys, that we can like have you guys reach out to and talk about your specific scenario and make that available to you. We just don't have that yet. It's something that's been on my list. I just wrote another item down on here. So Paul, first off, I wouldn't like, I don't know, you know, like Devin, we don't know the answer to the VAT in Italy. Just know that you got to pay it most likely. And probably someone from Italy with that experience can help you, who's a VAT specialist. And I might even go to, you know what, this worked out before. I might go to Upwork and type in VAT specialist and schedule a 30-minute call with one of those people, probably like $50, and they can probably answer that. I'm going to make a note for me to do that too.
The other thing I would probably, you know, I don't know where you live and what your you know, game plan is as far as launching your business, but it's kind of like, you know, unless you live in Italy, I wouldn't worry about trying to sell in Italy. Like I would be more focused on, you know, the US, or, you know, even just picking like the UK or something that is simple and starting there versus like, you know, because maybe you're trying to be able to sell throughout all of the EU or something, right? Well, it's like you're making your life super complicated by trying to sell throughout all the EU when you haven't even launched the product yet and started selling it, right? So, obviously, like if you live in Italy, maybe that changes things. But my assumption is that you don't, because you probably wouldn't have had that VAT question about Italy if you lived in Italy, because you would probably be more familiar with the way they do VAT.
All right, question from David Leong. In terms of differentiation in a crowded market, is it better to pick a safer incremental angle or more controversial angle that could open up a new demographic? I tell you what, 9 out of 10 times I'd go controversial because you really want to find something that's going to set your product different. And I can see Devin's nodding his head as well. So yeah, Devin, you agree controversial in general is probably better to go?
Yeah. It's funny. I was reading, I think it was maybe a copywriting book, but somebody basically said, like, if you're not pissing somebody off by noon, you're not marketing hard enough. And I think we even had somebody that, shared like a product idea, that was a little bit triggering to me, kind of thing. And I was like, I know this would probably be a great idea, because the people that are on the opposite side of it will love it if it triggers the other side, kind of thing, right? So I think having that controversy will attract people to it, the right people, and it will keep the wrong people away.
100%. All right. So, tell you what, I'll take this next one because I just kind of looked it up while you're talking too. Paulo also has a question about who to use for translating listings into German and Italian, looking for a referral. I'll tell you, there's a company called TransPerfect, all one word, that you can use. And I also know I think it's like translate.ai. I don't know, Devin, do you have a company that you worked with before to do any translations?
We did. So for Germany, I think we had found somebody on Upwork to help us with that. The downside was, like, I have no idea how good these are, because I don't speak German, and sure, I could dump it into like Google Translate, but again, that would be like, oh, it seems okay, but I feel like getting it localized is the most important part. So you really need somebody that, like, it's not the same as having high school German or college German and you speak German, but it's kind of like, well, if you live in Germany and you're more likely to know the words for specific things, right? Like we have terms in barbecue that I'm sure that people in other countries would be like, what the hell does that mean? And it's because it's such a localized term for the US kind of thing, right? And so same thing can apply to other niches.
Awesome. I made a note to Paulo. I'm going to go find out what company that we used at one point to do it. They did translation and localization, like Devin mentioned, and they're pretty affordable. So I will be posting in Face Group either later today or tomorrow with that answer. I'll let you take the next one, Devin.
Yeah. All right. So Jean-Michael asks, hey, Mike and Devin, we watched the video about documenting your journey and posting on social media, and we're wondering at what point we start posting these, like how many weeks from before the product is released. So there isn't like a hard and fast rule here. So I have a buddy who I've been following on Facebook, and he's been developing like a pocket knife brand, and he's been posting and sharing things, kind of documenting the journey now for, it's probably been like 2 or 3 years, and they're just now like actually going live to market now. And so but at the same time, it's kind of like I've been gradually like popping in on his journey throughout that. And, so it's something where it's like, oh, I should check that out more, right? Like I have more buy-in. So what I would recommend is, there's really no reason not to start it soon, unless it's something where you think the IP that you've created or like your idea is so good that like you want to make sure you're closer to being ready to execute before you start sharing specific details. But that being said, you could still, make posts about like, hey, we're starting whatever kind of brand, and we're working on developing our logos, and check out these options. Like, what do you like? Which of these do you like the best? Stuff like that, right? So I think it's okay to kind of keep maybe your differentiation or kind of your trade secrets close to the vest, but starting to build an audience with the other stuff as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Matt and I did Brand Genesis several years ago. It was a project where we wanted to validate that what we were teaching people was still working for new people. Could we still make sure that Matt and I could launch a product on Amazon and still get the same results? And so we documented the entire process. And it was a balance board, the first product that we launched, and it did great. So we started from the day we were researching products. Matt was making posts about it. We put it into a little mini course, as a matter of fact. So yeah, right now, even for me, it's kind of like as soon as you pick a product, what kind of product it is. Like Dad said, you can start right there and then in documenting things. And if you ever want to, if you're trying to use like social media, you can create these documentations, like these videos and posts, and you don't have to post them yet if you don't want to. Create it so you're in the moment, like showing people, but just set it in draft mode. And then when you feel like you're ready, you can always do that too if you want to wait till closer. I'm not saying you have to do that, but that's an idea. If you're nervous, create it and then draft it and just don't release it until you feel like it's ready to go. From Trevor, I'll take this one. Do you guys have any advice on how to get over analysis paralysis? I've been second guessing myself for over a month, doubting my decisions after searching hundreds of products and haven't made any progress. Well, first off, you had made progress. I mean, you've went through lots of products. I know that you haven't picked anything, which is like the big major step, but you've made progress, Trevor. I think that like if I were in your situation and you want to do something, because you got to take action, I would get a couple things in place. Like I would set my budget. Like how much do you have to launch this product? Is it $1,000, 5,000, whatever it is? Kind of set that parameter. And don't plan on going over it. And then once you do that, find a product that isn't perfect, but fits within that budget. That's the only thing that I would really be worried about, not worried, that I would want to like constrain myself right now. Stay within that budget, find a product that goes to the 4 criteria that we talk about. And then if you can't pick like of the 15 of them, ask someone like, look at these 5 products, which do you think has the best chance? And just go with it. Because as long as you're within your budget, your risk is limited and you will learn a heck of a lot selling D2C just by taking that step and doing it. Yeah, I always reach out to people if I get stuck like that. I'll reach out to Devin, to Matt, to anyone else and just kind of ask them questions. What about you, Devin? Any advice for Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I think, part of it, I think, is nobody wants to fail, right? So, we get stuck on like, we have to pick the perfect thing or do everything perfect because we don't want to fail. But honestly, you have to make those failures to learn so that you can hit the home run, right? And, maybe the first product is a single, but at least you took the action, you learned the process of optimizing a page. You're that much better at it. Maybe it's still something that can be profitable and you can continue running it, but you find something else that you want to scale bigger. But doing something is way better than trying to get the perfect thing. That the idea of like progress over perfection.
All right. Question from Abdalali. Can we order samples with modifications and without before ordering in bulk in order to compare between the two? Yeah, you sure can. There's nothing that limits you from doing that. If your supplier will do it for you, then yeah, absolutely. I guess it probably depends on how big your modification is. Is it a super small tweak? Is it a big tweak? Is it something really, if it's something really big, then they may be very hesitant to create that for you. But if you can do it, absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. It's just the limitation is going to be your supplier and what they're willing to do before you place an order with them. You want to take the next one, Devin?
Yeah. So the next question is from Kindle. What's your honest opinion on going the supplements route? I think I have a great differentiation angle, but I'm nervous about it being too saturated. So I love the idea of like supplements or consumables. For me personally, and I'll explain this in a minute, but like that's all I would do if I was going to start another brand at this point is something that is consumable. So being in barbecue, which is both seasonal and like at times it's very hard to get repeat buyers because, it's like just because you need one item doesn't mean you actually need another item. And that's partly why we've started going into consumables within barbecue even. But the craziness of the seasonality mixed with that has me just like, man, I don't want to fight that hard to get new customers all the time, right? And so with supplements, it's kind of like when you get the new customers and you can resell them that product, and it's a little bit easier in my mind to find complementary products that also support the goals or objectives that they're trying to achieve. So to me, I think that's a great route to go. And as far as it being too saturated, I mean, supplements are literally like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so if you have a cool angle, like there's plenty of room for that to work. So I wouldn't worry about it being overly saturated. And, really the more you can kind of niche down to like speaking to your target audience, I think the easier it becomes to do that testing and kind of ramp things up.
Awesome. Jean-Michel says it is Jean-Michel. Excellent. All right. David asked the question, how would you deal with product returns for non-US residents who are selling supplements? I see Deliver and ShipBob don't manage supplement returns, and Shopify does not even fulfill them. For one thing, if you're selling on Amazon or have been an Amazon seller already, you kind of know that you're going to get a lot of returns. That's why people shop on Amazon, right? Because they know they can return things as much as they want. And they'll say it's defective, but 9 out of 10 of them are perfectly fine. When you sell DTC on your own website, the number of returns you're going to get is going to be almost insignificant. I mean, if I looked over the past 30 days, I've had 0 returns. And so it's just not something I would worry about right now, David. When it comes time, like, I know it's easy for me to say that because, I'm not you, I don't have that situation. When it comes time to actually, like, someone wants to give a return, chances are, if it's a supplement, you're going to let them keep it. Unless you want to figure out a way to get that supplement back, make sure that, because can you really even sell it again? You don't have to say that on your website, but I mean, what I like doing is telling people that we offer a free return policy, but they have to pay for the shipping. That's what we tell them. And so it kind of limits people wanting to do that. I would kind of put that on your page that, that you offer, accept returns, money back guarantee, but they're responsible for the shipping. Put it in small. Don't make it bold that they pay for shipping, but put it in your shipping terms. And then when the time comes and someone wants to return it, make the call about whether you really want to get it back or if you just want them to keep it. At some point, probably make some connections here in the US where you can just have products shipped to them and then they can check them out, keep them, give them away if it's charity or whatever. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be nearly as much of an issue as you think.
And I think you can even use it as an advantage within your guarantees. So like an example on our rubs, we call it like our empty bottle promise. And basically it's like, try it out for 60 days. And, even if you use the whole thing up, if you're not satisfied, we'll give you a full refund. And like on that item, we don't require them to return it because what am I going to do with a partially used bottle or an empty bottle?
Great point. From Hiroko, she's asking, do you have an update about Shopify question from last week? This is the question I mentioned earlier. How do you set up Shopify? Like, where do you say you live? What's your location when you don't live in the US and you're setting up to sell in the US? I have not heard back, Hiroko. Sorry about that. Like I copied Devin, Tina on again today because I'm trying to get an answer back from them, but we don't. I would hold off unless you're ready. I mean, unless you're ready to start selling today, it's not that big of a deal. I know I say that's easy for me to say, right? Because I know you want to take action, but just hold off until we get an answer because I want to make sure we get the right answer for you on how to set up your business when you don't live in the USA and you're selling outside of the USA. Devin, you asked for a win. I'll let you take this one from Paolo.
Yeah, so Paolo says, thanks, Devin, for the simple bundle app recommendation. It works great. I tried a couple of bundle apps before and none worked for what I was trying to do, but this app is very simple, easy to use, and allows me to control the pricing that I need. So that's awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, that is great. Thanks, Paolo. From Brandon, says, my product comes in a 4-ounce plastic container jar. Do you recommend putting that into a product folding carton or just putting the plastic container in the shipping box? I'm trying to balance cost or benefit. I think you could probably just, if your jar has a nice label on it, then you can probably just put that right into a small shipping box. I have small boxes that I use for some of our small products like batteries, and they'll protect it just fine. And as long as your jar has a nice label on it, I would not, especially starting off, Brandon, I would not waste the time on getting a box also on that one.
One thing you definitely do want to look at though is potentially like a double seal. So if it's, I don't know if you're working on like a cream or, like a moisturizer or something like that. But you can have them do like an inner seal and then an outer shrink wrap around the lid. So like, because what happens sometimes when things are in shipping is the inner seal can pop if it gets, too much like, whether it's dropped or something like that. And so if it has the outer seal, a lot of times customers are more inclined to use the product anyway. But if you only have the inner seal and it's popped, even if it doesn't leak, some people will be like, oh, the seal's popped, and like they won't use it.
Good point. And I think Amazon has like you have to have a double seal somehow in order to sell these, like you said, like a seal on the bottle and then some other kind of way to seal it. You don't have that same limitation selling your own website, but it still can be a good practice, like Devin mentioned. You want to take the next one, Devin?
Yeah. So Hiroko says, I'm thinking of adding a nice box to make my product giftable. If I think about selling multiple pieces as a bundle, should I prepare the boxes in multiple sizes? I feel like it's too much and too not eco-friendly to send 3 gift boxes for one order. Honestly, I would actually send 3 gift boxes because if they're buying 3, they may be wanting to gift them to 3 different people. And so, it's not really for you to make the decision for them that they don't get 3 gift boxes. At least that's my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, and thinking what I know what you might be selling, that probably makes sense. It could also be an option then, Hiroko. I mean, if you want to let them choose that, but in general, why not? The answer, I mean, the right answer is going to be, who do you think they're buying those 3 gifts for? Are they buying them to gift them to other people, individual people, or are they buying 3 because they want 3 to give like to their son, daughter, spouse, whoever? If they're giving it to the same person, then they probably just put it in 1. But if they're giving away, like Devin said, then you want to provide, I would lean towards providing them each one.
Yeah, and I guess the other side of that is, unless you're going to do your own shipping, it's going to require more inventory and stuff because you'll have to pre-pack the single, double, and triple because most third-party fulfillments will not. It's not like they're going to say, oh, I need to take 2 of this item and then stick them in this custom box. They're going to grab the thing and ship it, basically.
Right, from anonymous attendee. Hi, when ordering with 99 designs and we need the actual bag designed along with the box, would that be 2 separate orders? We were really wondering this. So you need a bag and a box designed. I think it's going to be 2 separate orders, most likely, because they're not going to be able to, I don't know if there's an option to have them select both. I mean, unless, Devin, can you just do like a general?
Well, I guess it depends on like what kind of bag we're talking. For me, like if we're talking like, say you're doing like a shirt and you want to put the shirt into some sort of like a poly bag and then put that into a nice box to have a better experience. What I would probably do is like have the manufacturer just put your logo on the poly bag so that you're not having to do, something different. And then you can go that route. If we're talking about like, say, kind of like a drawstring bag, like, a Crown Regal bottle of whiskey, then, again, it's just putting the branding and, most likely you would work with the supplier on the type of bag. So, it probably depends a little bit on what niche you're going into, but most likely the box is the only thing that really requires a ton of custom work. Unless, I'm completely missing what direction you're going with this.
Right. So another question, some suppliers are asking for a design when I ask for modifications, even if I explain the modification, which are clear enough to understand them. Is this normal? And if so, how should I make a design? I mean, without knowing the exact design you're talking about, but a lot of times suppliers will ask you to give them a design. I mean, otherwise they are having to go and do a whole bunch of work without knowing if you're going to even do like place an order with them. And so they're going to be very, very hesitant to do a design for you, even if it sounds simple. And so what you could do is like, you could just literally draw something. I mean, I don't know, that's probably not the route to go. Or you can go to Fiverr. There are people who do CAD drawings, computer automated design, I would go there and find someone on Fiverr and do a search for CAD and hire someone to do a CAD design for you. And then you have to work with them on what you want. Then that would be a design. That's what I would do. They're asking for a design. Chances are they probably need one. I'd go to Fiverr and just find a CAD designer. Devin, your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think it depends a little bit. If you're trying to work with somebody in the US, it's much more likely that you'll need to provide all the details. But if you're working with like a company in China, certain manufacturers actually have design teams on staff that can help you do like renderings and things like that. So, I know for like our supplier, if I have an idea for like a new set of grill tools or whatever, I can explain, kind of what I'm looking for, and they'll actually do like a rendering mock-up and then, put that together and then kind of, get me a quote and stuff like that. So.
You think they would have did that before they knew who you were, though, Devin?
I don't know, probably, but I think, again, on something like that, it's like, yeah, we're gonna charge you for a mold, because like I don't think it takes that much work for them to do a rendering. But when it comes time to do the mold, then obviously they're gonna make sure that like I'm actually paying for it and stuff like that. So.
All right. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, so this next one is from Samantha and Brittany. Our original idea of adding something to our coffee has become something we can't afford to do up front. Is it okay to do a promotional offer later after we make some profits and upgrade our coffee? So I think the beauty of this whole model is you can change and do whatever the heck you want with the offer. Like you're not even really tied to having, it's not even like an ASIN on Amazon where it's frowned upon if you add things to it or change the ASIN. It's literally your website, your landing page, and you're probably going to test, a few different offers anyway before you figure out what works the best.
Awesome. Question from Richard I'll take here. It says, I'm looking for 3PL freight forwarders. There are 25 in the list provided. How do we filter out freight forwarders? Also, there were others like FedEx and DHL not in the list. Should we consider these as well? I'm trying to think. So I think the list that we had was 3PL companies who do order fulfillment as well. That's the list we came up with. We do have another list of just freight forwarders, if that's so Rich, I'm trying to understand, are you looking for a company that can do fulfillment, that can actually like send customers your products, or are you looking for a company that can just do freight forwarding? They're going to import your products for you, or are you looking for a combination of both? If you could follow up with that, then I can probably answer it better for you.
In one, so Deliverer, I think I've said this before, but they offer the 3P fulfillment and they do logistics stuff. So it's kind of like, I think that's really the big thing is where are you going with it ultimately? Like if you're going to need a warehouse, it's always good to see if they have the ability to like help you import it too, just to make life a little easier.
Point. Let's see, from Bobbin, any suggestions on dealing with DMCA claims on your product photos and copywriting, even though they are false claims? Where are these claims being made at? I hope I get it right. Bobbin or Bobbin, if it's on Amazon, if it's like, I've never received a claim on my own Shopify website for anything like that. Maybe only got like one claim on Amazon before. So, the main thing is if you're getting claims like that on Amazon, then you just need to provide how you came up with your photos, like provide receipts for the photos that shows that you actually paid for them, or that, provide something that says that you actually paid for the copywriting or did the copywriting as well. I don't know. Devin, do you have any suggestions on this one?
I think with some of that stuff, you can actually file counterclaims. Like I've never had to deal with like a DMCA process, like specifically, like, we'll actually go after, if somebody's using our stuff on say eBay to, arbitrage our stuff and they use like our copy and images, we'll get them taken down. And, even on eBay, there's a way for them to submit an appeal. And if they go through that process, then you actually like to get eBay to enforce it again, you actually have to like sue them or something. But if somebody's doing it false and it's impacting your business on like say a marketplace, then I'd be tempted to engage somebody like Paul at Ecom Attorneys and file like a countersuit. That's a one quick way to get them to remove something if it's bogus.
And I just checked, and they are being made on their Shopify website. So yeah, I mean, when someone makes a claim that's like illegal and it's on your own business, get a lawyer. I mean, I know you hate to pay for it, but there's really no better way to do it. You can ignore it unless they're going to Shopify and like saying to take your site down. I don't know if that's happening, but then yeah, we actually have. I think it's Paul. Is that his email address? You want to drop that in the chat, Devin? Paul's email. That's like ecom law, something like that.
I think it's ecom.law. So
yeah. So Bobin, yeah, Devin will drop that into the chat. All right. And while you're doing that, I will get on to the next one. By the way, for Paolo, we got a feedback from one of our anonymous members. They said that Italy's a very small market they have found. So it sounds like they're selling there. So probably good advice Devin gave earlier as well to kind of deprioritize that for now. Let's see. Violet has a question or comment. It says, having a checklist would be very helpful because I feel like I'm missing a step in the process of getting my business out there. I got my sample yesterday. It feels great. It's not a bad idea. I mean, we do have other lists in the training, but maybe there's something we can do there, Violet. I'm gonna make another note here to see if we can come up with another checklist. I know we always assume that like people go through the lessons sequentially and have everything, but if there's something that we can provide as far as a checklist, we will try to do that, Violet. From Hiroko, a question for Mike. All right. Do you offer subscriptions or a super bundle of your lantums? I was wondering how it works, the products which are not consumable. I do not offer subscriptions, no. I do have batteries and I've considered offering subscriptions, but the volume right now is just too low that I didn't want to spend the time working on it when I'm working on the Omnichannel machine. So no, I do not. As far as super bundles go, I have created them sporadically. I don't have one out there available all the time, but I have done bundles of up to like 10 products. And I just have not marketed them very much right now, but that was on my list to do myself. So if I have a checklist, I want to add that to the checklist because if you think about it, for me, I think it'd be great. People could buy a couple of flashlights, a couple of lanterns, a couple of headlamps, and then batteries to go with them all. I think that'd be the perfect super bundle for me to put back out there. I just haven't done it yet. So thank you for reminding me. All right. Hey, awesome offer here from Iona McQueen. Hi, Devin and Mike. We can help with German. We're native speakers here, but deepl.com is a brilliant start. And from Neil and Ilona. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So, Paolo, anyone else who needs help when you get into Germany, just reach out to Neil and Ilona, and they can help out with that. Thank you, guys. And that's DeepL. I'm going to make sure I got that right. Deep. Is it deepi or deepl.com? Bear with me. I want to make sure I got the right one.
Looks like
yeah, deepl.com is an automatic translator that can help right there. That is really, really cool. I'm just looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm curious how it compares to like Google Translate because I've used Google Translate quite a bit, but I know that that's always kind of like iffy.
Yeah, I know that the AI they have right now and a lot of copywriters. I use Jasper.ai to do some copy for me. They have language options now too. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll let you take the next one, Devin.
Yeah. So Richard says, hi, I've chosen my product. I contacted about 25 suppliers, of which 2 are sending samples based on the 4 criteria in the training. The first standard sample arrived and the quality looks good. The second supplier has a 2-week delay in producing the sample. It may take another 10 days at least. The relationship with this supplier is good. Both offer the same price and similar terms. Shall I wait or just go on sample 1? Personally, I think it's always good to check out 2 or 3 things just so you can be certain that the one you're going with is the best. Like I have found that anytime I'm not looking at least 3 options for any given thing, it never goes well for me.
I would agree. I've done the same thing before as well. Okay, so a question from Janet. She says, what about customer service? Is it necessary to have a phone number initially, or is it okay just to do customer service through email? Email is totally fine. I tell you what we do, even to this date. We have a phone number on our website, but it goes to a voicemail. And oddly enough, every time someone calls, all of our lines are busy. And we're all busy on the phone, so they have to leave a voicemail. So that's another option. I use eVoice, EVOICE. I think they're still around. It's like 10, 15 bucks a month for a voicemail number. So that's what I would do. Devin, what do you guys use?
That's exactly what we do. We basically have a message recorder that's like, sorry, all of our customer service people are, assisting other customers. Please leave a message and we'll get back to you. For faster service, you can email us at whatever. And then, that's what we do. I do think having a phone number on your website helps with conversion. So I do think it's good to at least go with like the voicemail route. But we definitely do not keep somebody on call to be able to answer live phone calls, because we just don't get that many. And a lot of the calls that we do get are usually spam things anyway.
Another comment on translation from an anonymous attendee. They say that there is YLT for translation as well. They met the owners at the $1 Billion Seller Summit. They also do native language keyword research. We've used them from where we work, and they're easy to work with. So yeah, check out YLT as well. Awesome.
Is that the company that spoke in Barcelona at that amazing event years ago?
Wow. Trying to think back. I think it was. Yeah. That was a long time ago. I remember them. I'm making a note of these because I think language translation services and localization is going to be another resource we'll make available. Right. Thank you, AA, anonymous attendee. I'll take the next one because it's kind of in my niche. Maybe yours a little too, Devin. From Richard. Says, hi, my chosen product is an outdoor product, which could be used for camping, hiking, trekking, or day-to-day use. Is an outdoor brand too generic to create? No, not at all. I mean, I love outdoor brands. I would probably go back and do it all over again if I had to with, my outdoor brand. I think it's an awesome, very, very big category with lots of different products you can choose from. Let's see, you're up next, Devin.
Cool. All right, so from Jean-Michel, when talking with suppliers in China, I know we have 12-hour difference, and I try to talk with them past 8 so that it's morning there. Does writing to them while they're at night is disrespectful? I know that on Alibaba they have a time respond rate, and there are some that are answering at night. Honestly, I don't think so. Well, I just with ours, we basically will send the emails whenever it's convenient for us. And then, the one nice thing is you can kind of check it again in the evening. And if they've gotten back to you, you can read it and reply. And that way you're not losing an entire day, basically.
Yeah, and they're used to it. I mean, they're very used to people over here emailing at all times. Kathleen says, and we're talking about making mistakes earlier, words to live by. The man who never makes any mistakes usually doesn't make anything. So true. Another question from Trevor. Since we're advertising on time to and from Facebook, which seems to get a younger tech savvy crowd, do you recommend avoiding products for senior or older folks? I'll tell you what, Facebook used to be the young tech savvy crowd. Now it's kind of people like Devin and I, which we may see young and hip, we seem young and hip. But I mean, really, I think Facebook's primary audience right now is the 30 and up crowd. Not so much the young. The young people are over on TikTok or on Snapchat, maybe still Snapchat. A lot of people are on Instagram. So regardless, though, I would limit trying to market to senior or older folks on Facebook, because not a lot of them just spend time there or would be, I would limit doing that on Facebook, just because I don't think that would be the best return on your money, advertising there to them. I may be wrong. I have no idea. What do you think, Devin?
I think it's worth testing no matter what, because, for example, for our barbecue stuff, I mean, our average demographic is 45 plus, because generally people that are, 30, they're busy, 30 or under are out buying booze and stuff and cheap grilling, utensils, or more focused on like the burgers and the dogs versus like really getting into mastering barbecue. And so to me, and we run ads on Facebook and they work pretty well. And then I know like some people are always like, oh, TikTok is younger people, so you shouldn't do anything. But I think even on that, like more older people are actually getting engaged on TikTok as well. So yeah, I think it's basically, in my mind, decide on what you want, like who you want to serve and the types of products you want to create. And then from there, figure out the marketing strategy that's going to work the best with what you're trying to do.
I agree. By the way, I made my first TikTok post ever yesterday, and I have 771 views already. I'm pretty excited about that. So go check out me on TikTok and like my picture of my dog, my Biddy the dog. So yeah, great advice, Devin, on that. It doesn't hurt to test it out. All right, from Philip, it says, with a 3PL, Deliverr has been recommended. Am I best to still go with Deliverr, even though we've met with a more personalized 3PL team who are more expensive? I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, Deliverr is big in a known quantity. You can get the pricing. They're pretty affordable and good compared with everything else. However, if you've already met with a 3PL team, and who's more expensive, you have to make that call, Philip. Like, do you think it's worth it to you to pay a little more to get a more personalized experience? Or do you think it's okay to start off with Deliverr and get better pricing? I can't make that call for you, but really, I can't think of a reason why not to go with Deliverr unless you have a really good relationship with this other 3PL team right now. Okay, so from Rich, I will take this one. I'm stuck in the same place as Trevor. I don't want to delay due to hunting for the perfect product, but since this is the first time for me, and I want definite differentiation versus a me too before picking. Yeah, I get it. I mean, let's face it. The secret sauce to this whole business model is differentiation, right? I mean, that's like not the only thing, but that is probably the most important thing, being able to differentiate, knowing what we know about this business. After that comes being able to get a profit margin. And then above all those things, maybe even above them, is you still have to have a big enough market. So I get it. But just be sure that you don't never launch a product. Like, there are lots of products out there. I hesitate to say this but I'm going to, because you got how many people on this call? Maybe 65 or 70. So we've been developing a list here for our team on ideas that we're going to use as a marketing tool, just so you guys know, for Omnichannel, because lots of people get stuck on how do you differentiate? How do I find products? How to differentiate? So we have a list of about 20 products that we're going to be using and sharing, just like to show what it's like to get opportunities. I'm more than happy to share that list with you guys once it's ready. It should be ready the next day or so. They're not 100% validated. Like, we haven't went out there. We have not gotten supplier quotes and verified that they can make the changes we want and that we can get the margins still we want. But we went through all the criteria, like, is there a big demand? Is it a big enough market potential? Are there people selling it for twice as much as the average of the top 10, like we show in the training? And those things are met. And then our teams come up with different ideas for differentiation. So I'm more than willing to share that with the group here. And what I will do is make that available to the CSMs to kind of share with you guys. We might put it on Facebook, I don't know. But we'll make sure you have available in the next 24, 48 hours, guys. Again, the list is conceptual. I mean, they may more than likely, there's some really good products that you could pick all the way through there. There's still more work to be done on them, but it really is to show you, like, how do you find products that meet the criteria, and then what are 5 ways to differentiate. So we'll give you that list. What you do with it is your own. So each product has 5 differentiations. There's 20 products. That's really like 100 different opportunities if you look at it that way. And then even if there are 100 people on this call, hate to say it, how many of the 100 are going to take a product and go all the way through with it? So don't feel like, oh my gosh, this list is going to like take all the good ideas that are out there. It's not the case. It was all done within like 48 hours. It can provide some good inspiration for you guys. Want to take the next one?
Devin. Yeah, our next one is from Roy. Hey guys, since I think you guys are doing a good amount of volume, do you guys have a streamlined solution when dealing with carriers of lost packages to customers and getting a refund from the carrier company? I just had to deal with one and it was somewhat time consuming, but I can imagine that if you're doing a lot of volume, it can be time consuming. Thank you. So honestly, this isn't a big enough issue for us that we've, really dug into it that much. Our support team will kind of follow up on the tracking and stuff like that. With Amazon, like if you're using Amazon fulfillment, sometimes they'll take responsibility for delivery stuff. We had a call the other day with Matt. Let me see if I can find that note, but there's an app that you can add where people can get insurance. I think it was called like Nvidium. Oh, I can't find my post. I'm one of like I'm a post-it note person and I write it on post-it notes and then I have a mess of post-it notes. So, but let me just see. I think it was, Nvidium. Nvidium app. So here, I'll drop the link in the chat. But so basically this is an app where you can install the option for people to buy insurance. And then if they don't need it, it's extra revenue for you. And if they do need it, it helps kind of cover your costs. But outside of that, really it's just reaching out to the carrier and going through, their claims process. But again, like it's happened so rare for us that we don't really worry about it. And, there's probably a few instances where it's like we're selling, maybe our cost on the item is like $4 or $5. And, on something like that, I'm kind of like, it's not worth the time to try to mess with. If you're selling like a higher ticket, where it's like, maybe your costs are above 50 and you're selling for like multiple hundreds or something, then, maybe it's worth, investing the time to like follow up with the carrier and file the claim.
100%. Until you get to that point, I wouldn't worry about it, or unless you're selling a high ticket item. A tough one from John here. Maybe we'll both have to offer advice. I don't know if there will be a lot though. John says, I have a large amount of stock in the US warehouse that has a manufacturing fault. The value is about $15,000. I need to ask the Chinese manufacturer for a refund. Is there any advice on approach such as wording, leverage, so I can improve the chances of success? I mean, that's a tough one. Like you've already paid for it. It's already been delivered. The only way that you're going to have leverage with them is if they see you as a potentially big customer and they don't want to lose your business. Other than that, like across country suits are pretty much impossible, especially when you're talking about China. The way that I would present it is very professional and very, sincere, understanding, like we understand these things happen, but now I'm left with a product that I cannot sell, and ask them what they're willing to do. I mean, if there's anything, I would put it on them, like, what are you willing to do to help make this right? That's how I'd open it up and kind of go from there. What about you, Devin?
Yeah, so we actually had one of our products where there was a really high defect rate on a part of the product. Like I think it was like almost like 20% or something like that was faulty. And we basically went through like the inventory we had, kind of manually checked everything and then told them, hey, on this, like whatever, there was, we had a defect rate of this, like, what can you guys do to fix this? And we basically asked them to make us new ones for the ones that were messed up. But yeah, I think that's the key is like, granted, we also have a pretty good relationship. It wasn't like our first time ordering or anything like that, but I think it's definitely worth, if you can articulate, here's how many have the issue and what the issue is, and then ask if they're willing to fix it. And if it's all of it, then best case is like, what can you guys do about this? Because we can't sell any of these and here's why. And just see what they'll do.
Good advice. From Louisa. Hello, I hope you're having a great Tuesday. I'm working on a skincare product, and I just wanted to know, in terms of pricing for skincare containers and also product boxes, is there a price range that you think that would be good to stay within? Thank you very much. Devin, you had a skincare line, right?
Yeah, so on that, it's really just about what fits your margin. So like as an example on rubs, I mean, I think we pay like 40 to 60 cents just for the label that goes on the bottle. And then the bottle cost is kind of included in, you know, what we pay the manufacturer. I did it on the skincare. Let me just pull up because my buddy, I asked him the other day about like who we had ordered those from, and he gave me the link. Let me pull it up here. It was containerandpackaging.com. And that was who we used to do like, you know, kind of the 8-ounce like Boston round style bottles. And you know, I think we paid, I can tell you what we paid actually. No, I can't because it's not on the screenshot they took. But it was pretty reasonable per bottle. And, you know, especially if you're using kind of like a standardized thing, like your costs will be a lot more manageable to start with. But so like, for example, if you're working with like, you know, privatelabel.net, a lot of those, some of those companies will actually include the bottling in the cost of what they charge you. Like I don't know if that's how Angie does it or not, but you know, we did talk to a few where it was like the price, everything was all included in the price. We just had to give them the stuff that we wanted. And then there was other ones that we talked to where it was like they just did the formulation and we had to send them the bottles for bottling and the labels to affix. So it really just depends on the supplier.
I'll take the next one. From Shazia, says, I'm looking at pet products. What do you think about pet products? I love pet products. I think they're awesome. I think the most important thing is that the products you look for meet all 4 criteria as shown in the course. And then if it does, then it could be a great pet product. If it does not, it probably is not a great pet product. All right, I'll take the next one
right here. So we love pet products.
Yeah.
All right, next question is from Samantha and Brittany. We are in between 2 suppliers at the moment. One supplier does everything except for fulfillment. The other supplier does everything plus fulfillment. Any thoughts on going one way or the other? So I'm assuming if you're looking at fulfillment too, then it's most likely a consumable in the US. So I know there are some where it's like, you know, for example, with supplements, right? Where you can, you know, either order one of their stock things, or you can even do a custom formulation and they'll bottle it and send it just in time. You know, basically like somebody orders, they'll ship a single unit to that person kind of thing. Sometimes those can actually be a great way to test, right? Because it minimizes the amount of things that you have to do and deal with, and you can focus more on the marketing. The one thing I would say is like, if they're doing all of the above, there's a good chance they're charging you more because it's kind of like you're getting that convenience factor, right? And so then the question becomes like, well, would you rather have that margin in your pocket, or do you want to pay the additional margin to make things more convenient?
Good answer. All right, next question. Oh, for Hiroko, this is from Rich. He says, Hiroko, you could make this eco-friendly with your gift boxes by having the 3 boxes that are advertised as biodegradable, for example, instead of plastic, and then ask customers feedback on this. It'd be a good point to get engagement. That's a great idea. Yeah, make them biodegradable. Ask your customers what they think. Hey, what do you think about have these biodegradable boxes? Awesome suggestion, Rich. Thank you so much. From Laura Nativo, do you guys have any leads on socially conscious manufacturing in the US? For example, I recently bought a bag of dog treats that said handmade by people transitioning out of homelessness. That is awesome. And then a portion of the proceeds benefited homeless programs in that community. I would love any advice on finding a manufacturer who gives job training to a demographic in need. Any tips? The only way I know how to do this, Laura, like one, I don't have any contacts or leads in that. We source from the US and from China. Our US products that we've sourced from were like leather and cleaning products. So they were all natural, which is nice, but I just found them by Googling. I mean, that's how I did it. I did a search for like private label leather conditioning companies. found a dozen, contacted some of them. I think that the only way to do that, I mean, well, you know this already, is just kind of like be looking for them and start looking for socially conscious US manufacturers. That's probably the only way to do that, unless Devin, you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I would just Google it as well.
Yeah. Sorry, Laura. If I had context, I'd definitely put you in touch with them. From Chunlin, what if competitors steal your own copy on Amazon? Report it to Amazon. I mean, Amazon has a copyright reporting method. If you actually do a Google search for report copyright infringement, there's a page on Amazon that'll take you right there. Report it. Make sure that it's legit. Like, don't make a false claim, but make sure it's a legit report. And then Amazon 9 times out of 10 will take action. Like when it comes to copyright infringement, if you really own the copyright of something, they don't want to take a chance of being sued themselves. So they will do that. Want to take the next one, Devin?
So Philip says, we've decided to have our product arrive to the customer in bubble wrap for this first small order to test the market. If all goes well, the next order will get a custom branded box. Are we best to have this branded box version as a new SKU while still offering the unboxed version too? Again, on your website, it really doesn't matter. Like, the one downside would be if you're using a third-party fulfillment company, if you haven't sold through all of your inventory, then it kind of forces you to either, wait to send it in, or you have to have sold through all of it so it doesn't get mixed in. But again, it's not the same as selling on Amazon, where changes like that create headaches. Like on your website, you can do whatever you want.
Awesome. Kathleen says, yes, a checklist would be great. I would agree. Add it to our list here. From anonymous attendee, do you think the concept could be used to a business selling high value collectibles like stamps or coins, where each item is unique and sold only once? I guess it could. I mean, it's not really the model we're talking about here, because you're truly selling pieces of art and collectibles. And what we're trying to do here is reach a mass audience. So that's the one thing. Like, do we think that, are there millions of people in the marketplace right now for stamps or collectibles? And maybe there are. I don't know that. Probably stamps, there might be coins. I don't know how big that market is though. That's the question. It could work if you had a nice website, you had a high margin product. That's going to be the tricky part though. Think about like what we talk about. We like to go for 4X your cost. Probably doesn't work with a stamp or a collectible unless you've been holding on to them for a long time. Deb, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it would be challenging to do it at scale. Honestly, I think the move would be like using, Facebook ads or Twitter ads or something like that to grow an audience of people that are interested in, like, say, stamp collectibles. And then you try to get them on an email list and you sell to the email list. But realistically, if I were selling collectibles like that, I would just list them on eBay and do that and not try to do it on Shopify, because it's not really scalable. It's like individual units. So, unless you're building like a collective of people that, want that, like they're collectors, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Richard followed up and said, hey, Mike, I'm looking for a combination of both storage and fulfillment along with additional services. This is back to the question of like 3PLs doing delivery versus doing order fulfillment. I think deliver is just the route to go right now. I mean, I'm certain there are other companies out there that do it and do it well, but we know Deliverr does it well. Devin uses Deliverr. We've heard other people. So I think Richard's starting off, especially. Let's check off one more thing on your list. You don't got to worry about. Choose Deliverr. And then down the road, you can always look for other companies to do other things as well, save money and get better service.
And they literally will do it all. Like, you can get prep services, you can get warehousing, you can get fulfillment, freight, like they do it all.
Awesome. Ilona says, thanks. A checklist is a great idea. Thanks, Mike, for taking a note on that. You guys are true DTC heroes. That is awesome. I'll be sure to tell Matt that. He'll like that. Paulo also says, thanks, Neil and Ilona. Awesome. You guys are doing awesome, helping each other out today. And Ilona mentions that it stands for, the deep L stands for deep learning. Yeah, that's what that deepl.com stands for. And it's 1,000 times better. It is crazy how good it is. And they do use AI, she mentions as well, and it continually learns and improves. It is crazy how well these translating, automating, copywriting things are getting nowadays.
Yeah. Did you see that Jasper got like $1 billion valuation, like with seed funding?
Yeah, so I've been following Jasper.ai for a long time now, and they're a company that, I mean, there's several companies out there that do AI copywriting, but they have just been going crazy for the past 18 months, and now they're valued at over $1 billion just as of last week. And they're great. They offer great customer service. I highly recommend it for like when you guys get to the point where you need help, like writing blogs, writing Facebook posts, maybe writing descriptions. Check out Jasper.ai. It's not that expensive, probably like 20 to 50 bucks a month, depending on the plan. They also have AI generated art, kind of in the just starting point right now. I'm not an affiliate for them. I just love their service.
Yeah. Yeah, we use it to help get ideas for like listing copy, as well as like our product listings for our website too.
I wrote a blog post for an email. Well, I basically wrote an email on Sunday. As Halloween comes up, I know that a lot of accidents happen, like kids get hit by cars, like it's 10 times more likely, and breaks my heart. And so I wanted to send an email out to my list. Didn't want to monetize it, just want to share tips. And so I typed into Jasper, give me the 5 ways to keep your kids safe from traffic accidents on Halloween. And it gave me 3 different versions of it in order to send out. And I only had to change a little bit around. Pretty crazy. From Jen, if we want to add bundles to our product marketing, does the bundle package have to be the same product, or can it be a relative product that can be used with the main product? It can be anything you want. However, in order for it to work best with this model, it should be right now, at least, Jen, the same product. And here's the whole thinking behind it, because I think every week this question has come up, because you think of bundles as different types of products. Like on Amazon bundling, it's different products, right? But bundling here is a way to increase your average order value. And the reason why we suggest keeping it the same product is because you're marketing, you're trying to get people's attention, like on Facebook. You show them a product, you got their attention, and now you have to do everything you can to convert them. And if you throw in a completely different product, even if it's related, into their decision-making process, now their brain starts thinking like, wow, I wanted this camping lantern, but they're offering me a bundle with a flashlight. Do I want the flashlight? Maybe I don't need the flashlight. What kind of flashlight? Is this the right flashlight? So you don't want to really mess up that thought process. That's why bundling right now, it's best to start out with just multiple copies of the same product. You can absolutely test it later and try it later. And I know Devin and I do that sometimes because we have lots of different products, but starting out, it's best to do the same product. You want to take the next one, Devin?
Yeah, our next question is from Richard. What factors should we consider for packaging? For example, when a plastic bag is sufficient instead of a box, for a textile product, is a box really necessary? So in the branding module, one of them, we talk about packaging and we kind of walk through all the different types of packaging and stuff. Honestly, like, so if you go, say, the textile route, if it were me, like, one, I'm going to look at the cost of stuff, right? Because, you know, you want to make sure that your margin's as good as it can be. But I don't know if you've ever seen, like, when you order a shirt from, you know, some of these like clothing companies, like, you know, Mack Weldon or something like that. And they'll basically send it in this, you know, it's kind of like a nicer poly bag that has like a little zipper, and it's a little bit heavier plastic. And then they pre-print like their branding on that poly bag. And, you know, so for me, like, that was a really cool experience when I got, you know, t-shirts or whatever from a company like that. But what I don't know is, you know, how does the cost of that compare to, say, like, you know, a cardboard box? And so, you know, to me, it would be more about like, what's the experience that I want people to have? And then what is the cost of the packaging, and is it justified in what I'm trying to sell? Right. So, like, as an example, you know, I just got a new iPhone recently, and, you know, they always come in those like really cool boxes or whatever. But like, imagine if Apple, you know, so like, I got visual screen guide. That's how we do this on the fly here. So, you know, they have like the cool Apple box, right? Where it's, you know, the nice white box kind of has the whoosh when you open it and stuff. But like, let's say they basically just threw that iPhone in, you know, a box like this, and you got this, you'd be like, what is this piece of crap? Like, it has a, you know, a very different feel. And so, you know, when you know, this sells for like $1,000 kind of thing. If it came in this and somebody paid $1,000 and this was like the product packaging, I think they would question, you know, should I really have paid $1,000 for this? And so, I think you got to look at for your product what makes sense based on, the value that you're trying to portray.
Awesome. Awesome. The next one's actually for you, to Devin. I'll ask it. It's they want to know, what landing page platform are you using for your Spice Rub on Facebook ads? Is it Zipify or ClickFunnels?
We actually use some of both. But my guess is, like, with the Facebook ads that we're running right now, they mostly go to Zipify page. The only reason, so we have like a free plus shipping offer on like on a ClickFunnels page that we actually integrate into Shopify using an app called App Trends. But so for us, like, the tech to do a free plus shipping offer made a lot more sense through ClickFunnels. Because, like, to do free plus shipping offer on your website, then you got to have a code, and it gets complicated when you're trying to do like a discount and a code and then make the pricing and the strike through pricing all look right. So, we do use both, but most of where we send most of our volume to is going to be a Zipify page.
Awesome. I get this is not a question. This is a comment from Daniel Moda. And this is relation to the folks who are talking about analysis paralysis, having a hard time. Daniel says, I'm selling my own brand and I've never made any changes on Amazon. I jump over to the Omnichannel, I create my Shopify store, and it's selling. I also created a temporary landing page and it's working. I think sometimes you don't need to wait that long. You just have to jump in. That is awesome, Daniel. I love hearing that. Congrats, by the way. That goes up as another huge, huge win. Okay, from Mohammed. So he says, if my product price is US $6.50, the cost, how much do you think I should be spending on the product packaging? Is it too expensive if I'm spending $2 on the packaging? Yes and no. I mean, if your packaging is a big part of your product and will help the value of your product be perceived, just like what Devin was talking about just a few minutes ago, as a lot better product, then it might not be too expensive. There are some nice boxes that can cost $1 or $2. $2 is expensive. I'm just going to say that right now, like $2 for packaging is expensive, but you might be ordering a small MOQ right now. So that may be the reason for it. And that also might be something you get the price lower on later. So yes or no, it's expensive. If you still get your margins, I think that's all that really matters right now. You can always work on getting cheaper packaging later on. Maybe even if you're ordering from China, you can find your own packaging company after you start selling it. Don't let this hold you up. After you start selling, find a packaging company, tell them the kind of packaging that you want, work out a deal with them. Maybe you can get it for $1 or less, and then have them ship that to your manufacturer. And that way you're paying for the packaging to a different company cheaper, but don't let it hold you up right now.
Yeah, I think it really depends on your target too. We sell a premium set of grill tools, and our cost on the item landed is maybe like $45, $50 once you factor in duties, but we sell it for like $150. And I think like $2 to $4 of it is actually like the wooden gift box that they come in. But for me to sell that, that type of product, I think we need something to help make it stand out. And so I'm willing to put that in there. But, if it's like, if your price point is going to be $20 and, you're trying to target a $5, initial cost or whatever, it doesn't make sense to spend that much on the package.
Totally agree. Can you take the next one too, Devin, from Marta?
Yep. Yeah, so Marta says, do I need any special licensing if I want my product to be organic, natural, gluten-free, etc.? So I think it actually varies based on which claim you're trying to make. So, to make organic claims, it definitely needs certification for that. I don't know about natural. Like, natural is one of those ones where it's like, it sounds good, but like people can get away with putting natural on things that are like not natural. It's kind of weird. But then like gluten-free, I don't think you need any sort of certification. It just needs to actually be gluten-free. So it's like a good example is kind of like lately you'll see a lot of products where it's kind of like they're always gluten-free, but they've started mentioning it because it's kind of a selling point. It's like a marketing angle. And, you know, like this is one of my favorite examples that cracks me up every time. So you go to the store and you see like the Jiffy cornbread, right? And, you know, now they have like, you can get the honey cornbread or the regular cornbread, or they have the jalapeno cornbread. And now they also have the Jiffy vegetarian cornbread. And I'm thinking to myself, like, isn't all cornbread vegetarian? And so, you know, that was like a marketing angle that they're using. And clearly it works because, you know, Walmart keeps stocking it. So, but it's, yeah. So all of that said, I think, you know, you just got to make sure that you understand the rules for which things you are claiming.
Awesome. Richard says, thanks for the answers. Mike, Matt, and Devin, the training's awesome. Thank you, Richard. We really appreciate it. We also appreciate how much everyone is helping out. That you guys are doing an awesome job. Hiroko kind of says that as well. Thanks, guys. And Rich, who also offered the idea on the compostable or biodegradable packaging. Hiroko says, I was thinking of using a reusable drawstring bag as a packaging to make it eco-friendly, but then I was confused if I still need a box on top of the drawstring bag to make it easier for fulfillment and branding. Do you have any advice on that? Yeah, I wouldn't use both. I don't think you need to use a reusable drawstring bag and a box on top of that. I think it's kind of overkill for now, unless there's a very, very specific reason you would want to use both. But yeah, I think you're overcomplicating it right now, Hiroko.
Crown Royale. That's, you know, like, I don't know if you guys are all familiar with their story, but it's like this Canadian whiskey, right? I think. And basically it was like at one point they couldn't give the stuff away. It just wouldn't sell. And then they started putting in like these purple drawstring bags with like gold lettering and stuff that kind of gave it this like, you know, royal luxurious feel. And it turned it into a premium brand. And yeah, I don't know what they do in other countries, but like in the US, if you buy Crown, like you save the bags and you use them for stuff because they're cool. So yeah, I think that like that'll happen probably a lot if you have a nice bag with whatever you're selling.
Now you realize everyone watching is going to go out there and get a nice velvet bag for every product following the Crown Royal.
I mean, it worked for them. Like, you know, I think if you could have a cool angle on it, it's like back to the Apple example. I have like 7 of these sitting up on my bookshelf, and I don't still own all those phones. Like it's a weird phenomenon. You save your Apple box and then you never use it again.
It's true. Those boxes are rock solid. You don't use them, but you don't want to throw it away, right?
Yeah, I don't get it, but I usually keep them so that like, I'm like, oh, whenever you know, if I ever want to resell this or something, like I have it then, right? But then it's kind of like inevitably I trade it back in or something, and then you don't use the phone box and then you end up stashing them. So I actually have to clear some of those out soon.
We're down to the last 5 minutes. We got, looks like 4 questions. We will get to these. I'll pick this one from Lauren. Good to see you, Lauren. How important do you think it is to have an option for customers to pay with PayPal? While Devin was talking about whiskey, I checked in my account and we get about 35% of all of our orders via PayPal. At Amazing, PayPal is a big part, probably at the same thing, about 30-35%. So do you have to have it? No. Are you going to lose some sales? Yes. So I would definitely keep it on there, Lauren, if you can.
Yeah, I can tell you when we were doing like stuff through ClickFunnels, it's a lot harder to implement PayPal on ClickFunnels. And so we had kind of started a funnel on there without it. And you'd be surprised how many comments we would get on our ads that were like, I'd buy it if you offered PayPal. So.
From Debbie Smith, got a Zoof question. I'll take this one. When you're in the opportunity analyzer, what does it mean that the monthly sales don't show up? When we're analyzing it, the blue light does show up as a good first-time product, though. Okay, so first, remember the opportunity analyzer, when you're looking at the starter, growth, and dream lights at the top, that's only for Amazon-based products. And you really have to follow the ASM training to make sure you get it work right, because you have to like do a like-for-like comparison and make sure you're only looking certain products on there. You guys probably get that. So that's only for ASM. So for DTC, ignore those blue lights at the top. Those blue lights can help you identify products that meet our starter criteria on Amazon. Now, to your first question though, like when monthly sales don't show up, One, it could be that like that product has a lot of variation. So try picking a variation and then rerunning it again. But more than likely, that product's in a category that doesn't have a BSR right now, like electronic products. A lot of electronics sold on Amazon don't have a BSR. And that best sellers rank is the gauge for how well that's selling among all the other products in the category. And if we don't have a BSR, we can't estimate sales. So that is most likely what it is. Debbie, if you can see that, so if it's not a electronics product, and for some reason you're still not seeing the revenue, shoot a screenshot of that over to support@zoof.com. That'll get routed to me eventually, and I will take a look at it. The next one's for you, Devin.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Rich said, it sounded like the selling price on your premium grill tools is not 4 times the landed cost. Is this because the profit per sale is large enough to ignore the 4X? Yes. So one, when we developed that product, our intention was, always for Amazon, because that was kind of our primary channel when we were building it. That being said, it's one of those items where the dollar margin is pretty high. So, even if my margin's only like 50% on it, it still gives enough room to be able to run ads and do it profitably. For us on that product, it actually worked pretty well with like Google Shopping ads. And, it was a big driver of us being able to get good volume on the website because it allowed, for us to run that traffic profitably.
Awesome. We still sell, I wish next call I have, we still sell batteries. These, they sell like $15 on our website. It is not like a huge profit maker. They're very profitable for us because they're definitely 4X the cost, but it doesn't fit the model. But because I have 2,000 of these, I'm still selling them because I can make a little bit of money and it gets me leads for everything else as well. So you will find some things that don't meet the criteria that kind of like a carryover. But heck, if I have a product and I can make a buck off of it and it can get me a lead, I'm going to sell it as well. Rich says, you're most welcome, Hiroko. The drawstring gets me too. When I get a product with it, it definitely affects me positively. I feel happier somehow a lot. Many thanks to Devin too. So yeah. So Hiroko, I know the advice I gave you was you don't need both, which you don't need them both. But if you think it's going to make it seem like a really upscale product, that might not be a bad thing to try out, depending on the cost.
One thing I would check out. So, Ezra's brand Boom by Cindy Joseph. I know with so they basically sell like makeup and skincare for like aging women. That was kind of the market that they carved out. He's talked about it a lot on stage, and maybe if we get him to come to SellerCon, he'll bring up the story again. But this idea that men gain value as they get older because they make more money, and that society says women lose value because they're getting older. And his whole, the story behind his brand is aging can be a beautiful process. And so rather than trying to hide it with makeup, they do things that kind of help complement it and, accentuate, the beauty. And so, he's built a massive brand doing that, but, he uses, I think, drawstring packaging, and you can see some of his kits and bundles that he has on there where, he'll use that, and it has their boomsticks and things like that. So it's, to me, it's a great example. Boom, so BOOM by Cindy Joseph. And I can put the website in the chat.
Awesome. And then Debbie Smith followed up and said, yes, it is electronic product that she was having the issue with on Zoof. So that does answer it. And it is 4:30. And that is the very last question. We get on these calls. I'm always a little worried because we only have a few questions that we know we're not going to have enough questions to fill the time. We'll end early, which is fine if we ever do that. But you guys, once you get going, you guys just keep coming more. We answered 77 questions today in 90 minutes. And I think several of those are you guys helping other members out as well, which is awesome. So that's it, everyone. I know we've been here for 90 minutes. Thank you guys so much. Keep going. I have my list. Keep making more suggestions so we can keep making the program better. And then we will see you on Thursday with the call with Matt and I. And I'll let Devin sign off.
Awesome, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Excited to see you, and we will catch you on Thursday.